Okay, time to do the closeout for lesson 1 of presentation unit 4. Let's look back at what we've learned this week, plus add 1 or 2 more pointers for those who wish to do a little more study in this area. Remember that my rhetorical questions are often an invitation for you to get busy with Google and find out more. Preparation. The old adage, practice, 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 cannot be understated here. It's true that you need to prepare your presentation well in advance, but remember, it's not that kind of preparation that we're referring to here. What we discussed in the lesson were the soft skills about finding out about your audience, careful analysis of the audience members to know exactly who you are speaking to. It's always a good idea to understand precisely what the audience is expecting or needing from the presentation. Always take the time to the person who invited you or other persons in the know to obtain a full and complete analysis of who will be in that room. Remember my tip. Take the time to chat to the front desk receptionist. A little light banter and light-hearted humour, and you will be able to find out who is who, and of course, who the decision makers are. Yes, a presentation to a room full of CEOs will be different to the presentation in front of a group of shop floor workers. But it's crucial to know who your audience is. Be sure to show the same level of respect to all levels of audience too. It's good manners, plus you never know who has sneaked into your presentation. As a trade union representative in 2005, my presentation on union membership benefits was attended by a politician named Michael Heseltine, who I subsequently went on to write speeches for. That one presentation opened many doors for me. Moving on to introduction to your presentation. As we said in the lesson, a good introduction to your presentation is extremely important. Remember, the first 5 or 10 minutes will set the stage for the rest of your talk. Start with a bang, not with a whimper, as we said in class. I've seen many presenters start out their offering by saying something like, "Hi, my name is XXX, David, Peter. Let's get started." I can almost guarantee that if you start off your presentation in this way, you'll lose your audience even before you begin. One other point to remind you is the timing of your presentation. Avoid at all costs the slot just after lunch, when everybody has eaten. This is the worst time to present, as most people are ready to take a nap after food. Being given such a time slot means you have an extra hard task of getting the audience engaged from the outset. Keeping them engaged is virtually impossible unless the subject matter is riveting. We talked about how you can start your presentation with a compelling quote, a great story, or maybe by quoting a stunning statistic. A provocative question can sometimes work too. Once again, the key here is getting people's attention. When the audience is engaged, you can introduce yourself and your topic, when people are listening attentively. So, if you use the tools we've outlined in the class to open and close your presentation with a bang, people will remember you. Remember that in most presentations, movies or plays, a typical audience will only remember the beginning and the end of anything, but less of what was said in the middle. Your opening comments. You should always welcome the audience. Remember to welcome your audience with a thank you. It's important to show both sincerity and appreciation. Try a welcome together with a thank you for the opportunity to speak, to pitch or share. Your opening comments, the first lines. In most cases, it's not a good idea to try to memorize your entire speech. It's hard to do and things change last minute. Better to be fluent with your subject matter knowledge and have the confidence that you can flex and to use your materials to fit in with any unforeseen hiccups. Be prepared wherever you can be. Send materials to the correct admin person in advance so it can be preloaded onto the respective computer. Carry the file with you on a USB is a good idea, and on your laptop. Whereas it can be sometimes hard to memorize a presentation, especially if it's a longer one, it's a good idea to memorize the first 4 to 10 sentences. This first few seconds or minutes is critical because this is when you settle your nerves and gain your confidence. If you feel confident from the start, then your confidence will grow as you continue your presentation. Marketeers and salespeople benefit from this approach with slides they use to promote their messages. It's true that the best presenters wing it. But while this is true, they are typically practiced and memorized the beginning and ending of their talks. We talked about introducing yourself and the topic. My advice here is to keep it short and sweet at the beginning. Then at the end, say something like, I'd like to thank you for being an attentive audience. My name is Keith Gillibrand, and this was Presentations 101. Thank you again. We talked about dealing with nerves. Nerves ruin more presentation than almost all the other reasons added together. The fear of an audience laughing at you or not paying attention is higher than you could ever imagine. In one survey, fear of public speaking was reported as people's biggest phobia. Just over 25% they feared speaking in front of a crowd, just ahead of heights at 24%, bugs and snakes at 22%. Believe it or not, clowns are feared by 7.6%, making them slightly scarier than ghosts, which is only 7.3%. No wonder presentations are difficult to master. Remember though, the average speaking pace is 110 to 150 words per minute. So it's not a race against time. Speak slowly, but remember to occasionally vary your speed. Speak slowly to add gravity or importance. Speak quickly when you want to say something less important. Pause to regain people's attention, who naturally look up at an apparent silence. Vary your tone, and remember that hello means one thing and hello means something else. Your tone is used, it's critical to convey meaning to your listener. In the lesson we talked about your topic. In university, you might be asked to choose a topic on which to present. In business life, a choice is seldom given, so this is often a moot point. Making sure your title is well written enough is vital to pique your audience's curiosity sufficiently that they come to listen to your presentation. Try to keep it short and maybe add some humor to break the ice at the beginning. Your body language. Remember the key points of body language. How should we present ourselves? Do we lean against the podium when we talk on stage? Hopefully now we know the key points about body posture and how to influence the way the audience sees you. And we can quickly become comfortable on the stage. Now, we come to speaking to an English-speaking audience. Is it hard? In actual fact, we can make this very easy if we use common phrases in English. Let's get the ball rolling. Moving on, or I'd like to begin with. Make sure by practicing your presentations several times that you don't need to use crutch words like An English-speaking audience will pick up on this very quickly, on crutch words like this, and it nearly always makes you look less professional. The body of your presentation, not your body, the main area what we're talking about. The body is the main part of your presentation, and it comes normally between the introduction and your conclusion. It's the longest part of your presentation, and its purpose is to get your key points across. How do we come up with the key points? We covered how you should organize the sequence of these points, using a timeline of events if recounting a story. The natural sequence of a process, maybe. Your main body should be logically laid out so it's easy to follow. Don't just make everything into key points you read off slides. Follow the methods in the lesson and you'll be able to take any presentation in your stride. The lesson went on to talk about presentation tools. Tools? These include the software and the hardware we use to make our presentations look great. There is more to presenting than PowerPoint. Investigate the other options and try them out. Tools include the tutorial on YouTube or any other usual manual. Tools include computer accessories like laser pointers and clickers. Whatever you do, don't try to use a tool in a presentation if it's the first time. Practicing with a new tool on stage on the big day is a recipe for disaster. In the lesson, we talked about using approximations. What are approximations? When and why should we use them? Which decimal point would you round it to? The key here is to just simplify the data so that everyone can understand the message. We talked about how to create amazing visuals. We talked about billboards and the way they work. The huge billboards on the highway with just a few key words. They're designed to get the message across to an audience in about 3 seconds. The time it takes to pass at 110 kilometers per hour. We saw that the same principles work for visuals in the presentations. The audience must get your message in 3 seconds. Any longer, and they're having to work too hard to understand you. Keep the word count low and the font size big. Now, when it comes to presenting your amazing visuals, how can we ensure we tell a great story? We use visuals to help us. Most people will have heard the adage that a picture paints 1,000 words. So by now, maybe your presentations won't scare people as much as they did before. Remember, you are the presenter, so use your slides carefully to get your key points across. Keep them short and keep them simple. Elaborate on the information in your slides. Don't just read them word for word. Okay, now you're ready to move on to lesson 2.